are joining tonight. I'd love to just kick it off as we give people a chance to get in and get into this stream here. Why don't we just start with where are you watching from? I'd love to hear where people are coming from. So just throw it in the chat. I'm in Minnesota. We are just starting to warm up a little bit. It's still like 28 degrees here, but I'll take it. Spring is here. Summer's around the corner. But tell me where you're watching from if you're joining us. And then I'd love to hear too, what's your dream job? I know y'all probably have these plans of like a year from now, a couple years from now, maybe 5 years from now. But what is your dream job? Kind of what are you trying to do when you think about your career? So jump in, tell me where you're from, tell me what your dream job is, and then we'll get this party started. Kind of give people a chance to jump in here. Oh, I see Florida. Washington. Oh, look at all this. That's amazing. You guys, Massachusetts, Richmond. Hello, hello. Welcome. Glad you guys can join tonight. So tonight we are going to be talking about those non-tech skills for tech newbies, or maybe you just are looking to get a promotion in your current career, but how do you bridge the gap and get that new tech job or get that promotion? So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. But my name is Darcy. I am part of the Level Up in Tech family. If you are part of the Level Up in Tech family too, put the LUs in the chat. We love Level Up, but thanks for having me, Level Up. Super excited to be here tonight. So I'm seeing some of these jobs. I know somebody said transition to the cloud. That is amazing. And so if you're looking to get into tech, you're probably learning, you're doing labs, you're getting your certs, you're building up that portfolio, but maybe you're not even thinking about the other marketable skills that you have. That was my story at first. I was a director at a church here in the Midwest for about 12 years. 12 years is a long time to be in a job, and towards the end, I was just feeling a little bit burnt out. I was feeling like it is time for something new. So I actually took the leap of faith and I just quit my job and then started thinking about what are my skills? What am I good at? What am I passionate about? What do I like to do? I ended up starting an event planning business, but really quickly discovered that's probably not going to be my long-term plan. And about that same time, that's when I stumbled on Level Up in Tech, and I spent 6 months just building all those tech skills. So, learning how to deploy resources in AWS or write in Terraform code, all those tech skills are so important if you're looking to get into the tech job or tech role, or even advance your career into the cloud. Those skills matter and they're so important. But there's other skills that you might have right now that you can develop and grow and build and transfer into your next role. So what are transferable skills? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Transferable skills, or portable skills, some people call them, are these qualities that you can take from one job to the other. And tonight I want to focus on soft skills. And soft skills are just those personal attributes that somebody has that help them really be effective in their role or be part of a harmonious team. Those soft skills are so important. And in fact, I think it was not just the soft skills, but it was, or not just those hard skills, those tech skills, but it was the soft skills that maybe gave me a little bit of a competitive edge when I started interviewing. But anyway, soft skills. Let's see, what are they? We have stuff like, communication, project management, adaptability, problem solving, which is really important, critical thinking, creativity, dependability, teamwork, self-awareness, resourcefulness, initiative, conflict management, collaboration, organization. I mean, I could probably keep going. If you can think of some soft skills that either you have or you admire in other people, go ahead and throw those soft skills in the chat. Let's help each other out when we're trying to think of what those soft skills are. Funny story too, well, maybe not funny, but just a story. I was starting to interview after I finished Level Up in Tech, and a recruiter, one of the first guys I met with, said to me, I have hundreds of calls every week, and I don't meet people with the kind of soft skills that you have, and they're so desirable in the tech world. And so he was very interested in me. He's like, anyone else with those soft skills that you have? And so those soft skills are really, really important. So those are those transferable soft skills that maybe we all have some of those, and we can put those into our next role when we jump into a tech role. So soft skills aren't necessarily something we think about when we think about like being in a classroom, being taught things. But soft skills can be learned, they can be improved over time. So here's what we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about how can you take those soft skills, transfer those into your new role, and bridge the gap so that you can get that next tech job, that cloud job, or you can just even level up and advance in your career if you're already in tech. So we're going to talk about three things that I think you can do, three steps that you can take to build those soft skills. You guys ready? Number one, identify those soft skills. So I think awareness is key, because if you're not aware of what soft skills you actually possess, you're not going to be able to leverage them the same way. So first thing first, identify what those soft skills are. We all have different things. We all bring different skills to the table. I love and celebrate the uniqueness that we all have. But what are your soft skills? Write them down, type them up, figure out what your soft skills are. We all possess some sort of soft skills, right? Are you good at finding answers to questions you don't know? If you're in the tech world, how many times you jump on Google every day and try to go find that answer, right? Like, that means you're resourceful. That is a skill. Are you always on time to meetings and events? You're dependable. That's dependability. Do you have the ability to kind of bring a team of people together to accomplish a goal? Think teamwork, leadership, collaboration. Those are all great skills. Or maybe you're someone who can just think outside of the box. That's creativity. Another tip I have for you is maybe ask your friends, ask your family, ask your coworkers, ask the people that are around you all the time, what do you see in me? Sometimes we can't always identify these skills super easily on our own. So go ask those people that are in your life. But I'll warn you, be open to the feedback that you receive and be ready to do something about it. You could also like keep a journal and start like keeping track. Maybe you notice a soft skill pop up in your day to day. Write that down so you don't forget that that's a skill that you possess. And so once you have your list, so hopefully you're all are jotting some stuff down right now. Start making your list right now. But once you have your list, maybe pick three. And these can be three skills that either are good and you want them to be great, or maybe you're terrible at that skill and you really just want to improve that skill. But start with just three, write those three down, and then we're going to talk about how do we sharpen those skills. So once you have those three skills that you really want to work on, those skills are like muscles. It's like working out, right? Like if we work that out and work on it, we're going to get better at that skill. Soft skills are like that. So here's some ideas on how you can sharpen those soft skills. You could take an online class. I mean, I took online classes for all my tech skills. It never occurred to me I could take an online class for project management. If I want to grow on that skill, there's plenty of resources out there and available to you. So take a course, an online course, and one of those soft skills like project management. You want to practice your communication? Be the one who volunteers at work to do a presentation, or you really think about like all the writing that you do, whether it's technical writing for a project or and the next email that you're going to send or Slack message, right? Like think about your communication and the style of communication that you're using, and think about how can I improve that communication. And then after you type the email, maybe you send it to someone else and say like, hey, what do you think? Did I communicate well? Did I communicate clearly, effectively? So work on that communication through verbal, written, all those areas, and then ask for feedback on the back end. You could, if you want to work on the skill of problem solving, which I think is definitely a needed skill in the tech industry, you could find an open source project. There are people out there that are looking for help. They're trying to solve a problem. Maybe you could go out there and write the code or crack that problem, figure out the solution, and then contribute to that open source project and build that skill of problem solving. If you're chronically late to everything, maybe you just make it a goal over the next week or 2 weeks. How do I make sure I show up on time? Because I want to work on the skill of dependability, right? You can practice skills in your current job, even at home, but maybe at work you say, hey, I want to take on a project. Maybe it's something scary. Step outside of that comfort zone. Go take initiative, right? Initiative is a great soft skill to have. Maybe the next time you sit down with your manager, you're thinking about, like, gosh, I always show up to these one-on-ones with my boss and I'm not prepared. Maybe take some time, be organized, organize your thoughts, organize your notes, work on that skill of organization. And then maybe you ask to be on a group project so you can figure out, how do I work better in a team? Like, how do I improve those skills of collaboration? And then lastly, to sharpen those soft skills, find a mentor. Is there someone, let's say you want to work on communication and there's just someone in your life that you're like, man, they are amazing at communication. I want to be more like them. Ask them if they'll mentor you, spend some time with them, ask them questions, help them, or ask them to help you sharpen that skill. Ask questions and just kind of allow them to give you some advice on how they became such a great communicator or problem solver or um, dependability. How do they do that? How do they become a dependable person? So those are some ways that you can actually sharpen those skills that you have. If you guys can think of some more ways to sharpen skills, let's help each other out. Let's sharpen each other right now. You could mentor someone else on this call. So throw it in the chat if you can think of some more ways to sharpen some of those skills. All right, so we've talked about identifying your soft skills. We've talked about sharpening those soft skills. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about tonight is show them skills off, right? You've worked on figuring out what they are. You've been working on trying to sharpen them. Now it's time to show everybody all these soft skills. But you're probably like, how do I do that? I think there's a few ways, especially if you're looking at, this process of submitting resumes and interviewing and trying to get your next tech job. One, take a look at your social platforms. What do your social platforms say about who you are as a person and what soft skills you might possess? So take a look at all those social platforms, because I'll tell you what, hands down, just about every employer I know is going to check out that LinkedIn before they hire you. So make sure you're checking out your social platforms, and the presence that you're putting out there reflects those soft skills that you have. Future employers are going to be looking at your social platforms. It's just kind of the world we live in today. Next, if you're in an interview, you for sure have to let those soft skills shine. And I think the best way that you can do that is through storytelling. Become a really great storyteller. So let's say, they ask you, I'll tell you a story of one of my interviews. They asked me about a recent mistake that I had made. And I think adaptability is one of those soft skills that I possess. And I really wanted to show, like, I'm adaptable and I can kind of problem solve. So I actually crafted this story. Well, this was a true story, but I literally wrote out how I was going to tell this story about being adaptable and solving problems before my interview, so that when I got asked the question, I was ready to go. So write out some stories. I was able to tell them how I faced a problem, how I solved it, how I moved through it, and I was able to do that through a story and with great detail. And I really think it showed off some of those soft skills. So become a great storyteller, write those things down so you're ready for that interview and to show them those skills. And then when it comes to your resume and cover letter, what do you have in your resume or in a cover letter that can showcase those skills, right? Maybe it's those things I talked about: communication, adaptability. I'm going to read you the top portion of what's on my resume, so people see it kind of right away. But it says cloud engineer with a passion for automation, security, and maximizing resources. Okay, so that's like the tech side, right? But here's where I jump in with soft skills. Known for effective communication, problem solving, creativity, collaboration, adaptability, leadership, and positivity. I feel like those are my top skills. So I'm going to put them right there in my resume for any future employer to be able to see, so they can learn a little bit about me beyond the tech skills that I possess. So highlight those skills, talk about them throughout your cover letter, throughout your resume. Make sure you're showing those skills off. I would say too, maybe look at the job description before you apply. Try to figure out what is it that they're looking for, not just on the tech side, but when it comes to those soft skills. They may give you some clues of what soft skills they're looking for to be a part of their team. And so look through that job description. And then if you possess that skill, put that on your resume so that you can talk about it in an interview so that they can see it, right? So those are important things to be able to put on your resume and in a cover letter. So tonight we talked about soft skills, those transferable skills that you might not even be thinking of sharpening before you jump into your next tech career. We talked about how you can identify them, how you can show, how you can sharpen them, and then how you can show those skills off. So hopefully you got some good tips tonight when it comes to those soft skills. But I'd love to just open it up to questions. So what questions do you guys have? Maybe it's about soft skills, maybe it's about those soft skills in particular to the tech field, but I'd love to hear kind of what some of your questions are. So go ahead and throw some good questions for me in the chat. And I think we have a question as well. Let's see. Yeah. Tech professionals who get the most opportunities are the ones with soft skills. I was just reading something the other day that said, what is it? 78% of tech, let me just find it here and then I'll read it to you. 78% of tech pros say they evaluate soft skills as part of IT employees' regular performance reviews, and that their achievement might be limited if they lack such skills. So soft skills are so important, not just for getting into that tech job, but also for advancing your career, right? So which is what we all strive for, right? What is an example of thinking outside the box? That's awesome question. So thinking outside the box, that creativity, and I think it's how do you find new ways to look at something? And one thing that being new to tech, I had like literally no tech experience before jumping into Level Up, and now I'm a cloud engineer at Coalfire. And I would say because I have these like fresh eyes, these a lot of people on my team, maybe they've been thinking about like this is how we've always done it, but being able to say like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you tried to do this? So I think if you can find some creative ways to come up with other solutions that maybe we're just not thinking of. So I think that's a good way to kind of think outside of the box. Maybe don't fall into that like, this is how we've always done it, this is normal for us. But jumping into a new job is a perfect opportunity too, to be able to do that. What other questions do you guys have? I see. Yeah, lots of those soft skill questions are coming up in interviews. I think in my interview process, I think I got at least half of my questions were maybe tech related, and then the other half were all about my soft skills. So like, tell me about a time when you had a problem you had to solve, or tell me, about a time where you had to come up with a solution and you didn't know how to do it. And so I think those soft skills definitely came in handy in the interview process. Great question. And then one other question that popped up too. What are some interview questions about soft skills? And we talked about this just a little bit ago, but how would you feel working in a team environment? That's a great question that people ask. What's the most significant problem you've ever solved in the workplace? How do you react to criticism? How do you teach new concepts to team members who maybe aren't familiar with them? Or describe a time where you had to have a really difficult conversation. Those kinds of questions pop up a lot. So be ready for them. Be ready to showcase those soft skills when somebody asks you. Awesome. Oh, yeah, yeah. Tashika's saying same thing, 50-50. So, 50% of her questions were tech related and 50% were soft skills. So I think, those skills are so important. So, you guys, as you're like leveling up and you're learning all these amazing tech skills, you're learning new tools, new resources, you're figuring out like how to be in DevOps, how to be in cloud, and you're going after all of these awesome tech skills, which are so important. And you need to have those to be able to get a job in tech, but also be thinking about those soft skills. Identify those soft skills, sharpen those soft skills, and then show them off. And I promise those skills are going to make you stand out in your next tech job and help you move up, maybe even to a leadership role in your current workplace. So, with that, I'd like to say join our Facebook group. We have an awesome Facebook group that you can be a part of, so don't miss out on that. And hopefully, I can catch you guys all on LinkedIn and Facebook and we can connect. Feel free to reach out to me if you have follow up questions. But just wanted to hang out with you guys tonight, talk a little bit about soft skills. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you guys have a great night and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.